Hey, what's going on? It's Kevin Deers here with Defy. We are at Emerald City Comic-Con all weekend long. We got a bunch of wrestlers doing some signings. We're getting nerdy. We're having some fun. Let's go and talk with some people here at Emerald City Comic-Con. We're talking with Michael Kingston from Headlock Comics, and he's been doing this for what, like a decade now?
About a decade, yeah. Yeah, we started out real small. Like just used to sell Headlocked out of my backpack at wrestling shows and stuff, you know, hitting up people on message boards, and sort of grew one reader at a time. And, you know, now we've got a series, and we've got a second series that, you know, I collaborated with like 40 different wrestlers on comics.
Who's your favorite wrestler? I'm putting you on the spot, man. Are you a fan of comics? Are you a fan of comic books and like that
I'm a
whole
graphic
world?
novel guy.
Yeah.
I'm a graphic novel dude. I don't really collect too many like just
Single issues.
Yeah, single issues. But like I want to get the whole story packed into one. And of course I go to DC for these kind of stories. I like the detective comics and all that stuff. So that's my forte.
So you've never been to a Defy show. What's holding you back, man?
The honest answer.
I called you out, man. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Well, here's the thing, dude. What we're going to do right now is we're going to actually hook you up with a free pair of tickets to Defy right now. We're going to hook you up because we saw you're a dedicated wrestling fan. You came to meet Swerve. You came to hang out with the Headlock booth. We're going to give you a pair of tickets. How you feel about that, man?
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you. That's so cool.
We have another awesome episode of the Defyant ones coming for you right now. So this one is actually free. This is a taste of what you will get with the Defyant ones. So let's jump into our interview with Eddie Kingston. Backstage here with the man from Yonkers, Eddie Kingston.
YO, home of the Brave, baby, 730. What's up?
On the Defyant ones. Back in Seattle, man. Dude, it's so awesome to have you back here in Defy.
Thank you, man. I love coming here, man. It's so much fun. I hate it when, you know, I got hurt last time, back and hamstring and everything like that. Couldn't make it, and it broke my heart, so I'm just happy to be back.
Well, here's the thing is whenever, you know, it's been a couple times where you haven't been able to make it, but you bring the reserves, dude. You bring some badass people in your replacement. So, you know, if Eddie can't make it, he brings a homie. So.
Yeah, Mox came once, and then Ortiz, who I call Monkey, that's his nickname. He came, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, first off, I got to start this off. I interviewed Kevin Sullivan, a legend in wrestling. And he said that, you know, you along are one of the top 5 talkers of all time. He said he watched your promo 3 times and then he watched it without any audio because it was just that good. He said that you were up there with Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Curtis Iakea. How does that feel to know that Kevin Sullivan said that you are one of the top 5 talkers of all time?
I don't know. It's surreal. Thank you, Kev, but it's surreal. I got more to go. I'm not satisfied, but thank you. Thank you very much.
So you are someone that wrestles every week on TV, pay-per-view, you're on AEW, but you're still out there grinding, wrestling here at Defy. What brings you to Defy?
I wanted to come here before. I was supposed to come here before the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And I also just like giving back to the independents because the independents kept me fed for 18 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Without the independents, I would have never made it to AEW. And without the fans of the independents doing the Sign Eddie Kingston thing, which blew my mind again, because I don't know anything about Twitter. It was just, I was trending. I thought I was going to get paid, but they said, no, you don't get paid for trending, which I don't know why you don't. But, you know, it's surreal. It's still very surreal. All this doesn't seem like real life to me. Yeah. It's still to this day. I'm worried that I'm going to wake up in a shitty apartment in New York from all this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So it's well documented, you know, everything with that moment where, you know, you came out at an independent wrestling show outside in the beginning of the pandemic, one of the first shows that was able to legally happen, and you called out Cody Rhodes. The next week, you're on TV, and then you're trending with Sign Eddie Kingston. Bring us back to that moment. How real was that?
Still not real. Still doesn't seem real. Because I took the match with Cody, and I wasn't thinking of getting a job. I was just thinking of paying off, you know, my mortgage. Because at the time, I was selling my boots and my gear to pay for it. Actually, a fan gave my gear back to me, and he said, I just bought this to help you out, but here, and gave it back to me. I was like, I gave him a hug, like, oh, yeah. Thanks. and I had to buy new boots like 2 days before the match with Cody. But yeah, it was surreal, man, and getting in there. And I thank Cody for dancing with me because he didn't have to, you know what I mean? And then the fans, it was just overwhelming. Like, I have a lot of friends there at AEW, you know, and I never asked them to help me out ever because that's just not my deal. Like, if someone else does it, cool, that's whatever. I just don't, not my deal. If I can't make it on my own, then there's no point of doing it. But yeah, it was just, it's surreal. I still don't think it's real. I still don't. Every time I go to AEW and every time I'm backstage and every time I'm out there in front of the crowd, it just doesn't seem real. It seems like at some point something's going to happen.
Yep.
So I try to enjoy it as much as I can and just take it all in for what it is.
Yeah. So your journey started as a wrestling fan. Like, back in the day, what was the first memory you have of wrestling? Was it with your grandpa, your mom, or what was it?
It was my mom. She figured out that wrestling kept me quiet in the house because I was a hyper kid.
Sure.
And my first memory of pro wrestling is WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre, and Chinese food in the old apartment in University Avenue in the Bronx. And me just sitting there, just stuck, loving it. And
It was the thing that calmed you down.
yeah,
I like that.
It's the thing that kept me there and kept me quiet for at least 3 hours, 4 hours. And then my mom noticed that, and she would just buy whatever, or not buy, rent whatever VHS tape. That's right, I'm older. VHS tape she could find, and then that's when I found Eddie Gilbert, because she got like a Memphis Bloodiest Brawls or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like 7 years old.
Way too young for this kind of stuff.
Well, she just knew it would shut me up, and she would tell me, like, don't do this.
Yep.
This is just for your entertainment. Don't do this. You know, little did she know I would try to make a career out of it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny, going forward, you tried to make a career of it. You are making a career out of that, which is amazing.
Which is weird to say, yeah.
When did it go, like, hardcore? Like, was it ECW that hooked you? Like, that made you get really into tape trading or, like, the Japanese stuff?
Yeah. It was definitely ECW because I fell out of love for wrestling around late 95, early 96, maybe, when Shawn beat Brett at WrestleMania 12. I remember that being the last pay-per-view I ordered, and I just stopped.
Yeah.
And then I was chilling with a friend, and he was like, you like wrestling? And I was like, nah, not really, blah, blah, blah. He was like, watch this. And it was ECW's Gangsta's Paradise.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was stuck. You had Dreamer, who was from Yonkers. You had New Jack, guys who I knew around my way, acted like New Jack, acted like Taz, you know what I mean? And it just hooked me. And then I found, you know, tape trading places, and then I found places to buy tapes. And the only two Japanese wrestlers I knew were four. The only four I knew were Hase, Masahiro Chono, the Great Muda, and Hashimoto, because they were in WCW.
Yeah.
So I just bought a random tape, like Best of 95.
Sure.
And I didn't know the difference between New Japan, All Japan, FMW, all those places, Michinoku Pro. I didn't know the difference, so I just bought it. And I saw Kenta Kobashi versus Kawada in Osaka, and they went 60 minutes. And remember, like I said, I watched Shawn and Brett go 60, and it was great. But then I saw Kawada and Kobashi go 60, and it blew my mind, and I said, that's it. That's the style I want to do. That's it.
And so then it just becomes a wormhole, man. Then you just get
then
obsessed.
I'm just in it. Yeah, and when I'm obsessed with something, I try to learn the history of it. So I went back, and, you know, internet was at its infinite stage. You know, AOL. So we had to go on message boards and stuff. But I would read about Ricky Dozan and, you know, how he trained Giant Baba and Inoki, and how Inoki and Baba split. And, you know, All Japan, New Japan, all that stuff, you know. And I just kept reading the history and watching the matches and then looking up why they did certain things. Like, I was just so enamored by it that, like, I would go out at night, like, later than all my friends, because I wanted to read and learn and watch what, you know, the pillars were doing.
So did you get to go to any of those like, you know, iconic ECW shows in New York?
Yeah, I went to a couple Elks Loud shows.
Nice.
I bust Ronnie's balls of Atlas, because he ripped my Shane Douglas shirt once because I was acting up at like 18, and he threw me out and ripped it. But I had it coming, but, you know.
What do you mean you had it coming? Were you just bad-mouthing wrestling?
I was 18 years old, throwing beer and, being an asshole.
Being a shithead?
Yeah, being 18. Yeah. So he got me out of there.
So when did it hit you that you could do this?
Well, I was ironworking for Local 580 in New York. And I was sitting up there, and I was about 19, 20 years old. And I looked over and I saw the older guys coughing up lungs and drinking on the job site. And like when they would spit up, it was like, it looked black.
Yeah.
And I was like, there has to be something more than this. And I was like, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
So I looked up a place, looked up a couple, again, AOL, very infant time. And I found a school in Jersey, went there, got kicked out of there. And then I found... Chikara with my old partner Blackjack and my other boy Jigsaw, and after that the rest is history.
I always found it so interesting that this Chikara, this land of like crazy gimmicks and like everyone's masked, and then you got Eddie Kingston, the realest motherfucker. Like he's just Eddie Kingston. Like that had to be a really interesting time for your career. What did you learn from Chikara, and like how did that help you in establishing yourself?
I learned everything there. You know what I mean? I got trained there, and I got taught by many people, even my trainer, you know what I mean, how to tell stories, what's important in wrestling matches, you know what I mean? It's not the moves and all that stuff. I learned so much there. And then being able to go on the road and go to places that had guys like Tracy Smothers in the locker room. Who can help me out, and Mitch Ryder, rest in peace. You know what I mean? I had those guys around, and then I met Homicide, who became my mentor, and he helped me out. He's the only person who stood by me. Other guys would, try to help me, and then, of course, me being me, I have to do things my way. Yeah. They would kind of fade away or be like, ugh. But Homicide always stayed and was always on my ass because he saw something. So, like, people don't understand why I always bring him up and why I always try to get him a job everywhere I go and why whatever. It's because without him, I wouldn't be me and I wouldn't be here. To be honest with you, I would have probably quit already. You know what I mean? Or, there was a moment in time where I was down and out and things weren't looking too hot, and he called me out of nowhere like God sent him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Out of nowhere, he called me, and I didn't do a very bad thing. And now look where I'm at. So, like, I owe him basically my life and my career, to be honest.
So you grinded for a long time, man, and it's well documented, all of those indies that you hit, you were always grinding, now you're with a national company on TV, but you mentioned, without Homicide, you would have quit. Was there ever any time that you almost went back to, being an iron worker or just, giving it up? Oh, yeah, there was a time. I remember I tweeted it out. I was drunk. This is why I don't drink anymore that much. You know what I mean? I'll have like 1 or 2 beers and then I'll call it. But I've been able to learn that. But no, I was drunk one day and I saw something on... we have a dog. I watched something on NXT and it really blew my mind what it was. And like it just pissed me off so much that I remember breaking my TV. I remember throwing the whiskey bottle all over the place, and I just tweeted out like, "If I don't get a deal this year, I'm done." And then my brother had my nephew, his son, and my brother told me like, "How can I tell my son never give up and you can achieve whatever you want when his uncle did?" And I said, okay. So I just stayed, and I kept going. And then the pandemic hit, and then, like you said, the promo, and so on and so forth. I'm very blessed. I could even say lucky, too, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't make it out of not physical, but, like, emotional and mental situation. I put myself in a lot of situations. Like, no one put me in these situations. I put myself in these situations. Because there was a lot of times, mentally where I say I didn't deserve it. If you look back in my career, there'll be points where like I'm doing good, I'm here, I'm there. And next thing you know, I get drunk and I'm locked up in the drunk tank in the Tombs in New York, and I'm missing multiple shows. Then I come back and I'm on the straight and narrow, and then right back again. And for all those people that stuck by me, like I thank them all the time. And that's why I tell people like,
when they're like, oh, you made it. I didn't make it. We made it.
Yeah.
This is not just for me. This is for everybody who stuck by me. This is for everybody who grinds on the independence. This is for everybody who has a dream to either go to WWE or AEW. You know what I mean? Like, this is for all the outlaw guys. You know what I mean? That are doing things their way.
Yep.
Whether it's right or wrong, they're still being themselves. This is for them.
Yep.
This is not just for me, you know. Especially, honestly, this is more for my mother and father than anything, because they've bailed me out of jail. They've paid a lot of things for me when they shouldn't. You know what I mean? My father would be the one like, oh God. My mother would be the one like, no, we got to help him. You know.
Yep.
They didn't have to. So, like I said, man, this is not just for me. This is for a lot of people.
Have they had a chance to come see you at an AEW show yet?
Yeah, they came to the first Grand Slam.
That's awesome.
And I kept looking for my mother, but they moved her and put her in a suite.
That's
so
awesome.
I started busting her balls and going, oh, look at this superstar now. Look at you. Did you have any chicken fingers? And she was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, good. Good. Get as much as you can. Free food.
That's got to be such a cool moment to, like, you know, your boy's done good, man. Your boy's done good.
And the best part was it was me and Mox and Homicide in the ring together at the end. And those are the two closest dudes I have in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talking about someone who never quit on me, Mox, we didn't talk for like 10 years. Maybe we talked 3 times in 10 years.
Yep.
And you know what it was? Every WrestleMania for 3 years in a row, every WrestleMania those 3 years was, I would get a text, yo, I sent your stuff to Regal. Who's this? Mox, what's up? No answer. Next year, hey, what's up, bro? I sent more stuff to Regal. Again, I didn't save his number.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's this? Mox. Man, what's up? Nothing. Third year, same thing again. You know what I mean? He just always watched out, even without watching out. You know what I mean? And
he was always out there, and you didn't even know it, but he was putting your stuff out there.
No, and he would tell people to go see me, like, during WrestleMania weekends when everybody has all the big indie shows.
Yep.
Excuse me. He would tell people, like agents, I found out later, he would tell agents to be like, yo, go to this show, watch Eddie Kingston. You know what I mean? So he was always there. He hates taking credit for things, but you wouldn't know that if you're his real friend. He likes to bust balls. I see you, Mr. Midas Touch. I see you.
Nice. He's always out there putting your name out. I like it. Keeping you afloat.
He's loyal.
You know?
He's loyal. I stick with a lot of loyal dudes because I'm loyal. You know what I mean? And I like to say that's a curse, though, because I've been loyal to the wrong people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us have been. You know what I mean? But I mess with dudes who are loyal to the core. You know what I mean? And we don't leave nobody behind, no matter how hard it is. You know what I mean? And unless they do something crazy or they cut us out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, then you're done. Yeah, but I stick with a lot of loyal dudes.
In this industry where, you know, everyone wants to get ahead, it's probably a lot of backstabbing or just corner cutting with friendships or, you know, playing politics and stuff.
Well, a lot of them are friends for the sake of what can they get. But that's any business. We can't just blame wrestling. I used to do that. I used to blame just wrestling. But then I would talk to my mother and my father, and they'd be like, no. That shit happens every business.
The corporate world to the wrestling world, it's all the same.
Oh, it's all the same. It's all everyone trying to get ahead, but that wasn't me.
Yep.
And that wasn't the guys I mess with. And, you know, we all look out for each other. And also, if I see somebody who's not part of the crew and that person, he or she or whatever, I'm not trying to get in trouble, but whatever what are pronouns?
Yep.
All right, I'm really trying, folks, to learn. So whatever pronouns they call themselves, it is what it is. Doesn't matter to me. But whoever it is, if they're good and they're hungry and any of us see anything, and then we'll talk. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what I mean? We'll try to either get a match with them or try to, push them to go to certain independent places just because people did it for us. So why not do it for someone else who's hungry, who loves this, who wants to be in this?
So there's a lot of young wrestlers in both AEW. There's a lot of young wrestlers here in the locker rooms in Defy. You know, you come across these youngsters. Is there anything that you can tell us that you kind of give input? Is there any word of advice you give to these people?
Yeah, I always tell them this one, and I got this from a bunch of guys, but this is true. It's shut your fucking mouth and open your ears. That's it. You don't know shit. And I learned that from Jerry Lynn, that you don't know shit. Jerry Lynn told me one day, Eddie, I learn something new every time I'm in the business. He told me this like in 2012. Wow. And I looked at him and I was like, man, you've been to every major promotion in America.
Yes,
And I think every big promotion in Japan. I know he was New Japan and Michinoku Pro. And he's just telling me he doesn't know nothing, so I have no right to tell anyone anything. And I do learn every day something new. You know what I mean? Like, I learned something new tonight. I just got to figure it out. I'm tired. But I know I'll pick something and be like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? That was cool, or I should do that more, or I shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? And I always pick up something new, and then doing TV is a brand new experience. And I learn something new all the time. So that's why I love wrestling, too, because it's a never-ending journey of knowledge. You know what I mean? That's why I go back and watch old stuff, even though it's not up to date and hip, I guess you could say. But I'll go back and watch something from the 1900s. You know what I mean? When they were just wrestling in Germany or so. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. I just watch whatever because I want to learn.
Student of the game, man.
Yeah, I guess. I just want to learn more. Maybe I don't get anything out of it, but just knowing that I watched it, I feel like I learned something.
Awesome. So, pivoting to, you always rep hip-hop. You come out to, when you're at Defy, you come out to DMX. I saw you wearing a Mobb Deep t-shirt on TV.
And a Nas one.
Nas.
Yeah.
What are, what's your top 4 or 5 favorite hip-hop artists of all time?
See, that's rough because it changes, every day. You know what I mean? If you ask me this tomorrow, I'll have a different answer. But number one all the time is Tupac Shakur, because as a kid, my dad hated this when I used to say this. As a kid, he talked to me. I related. I didn't relate to the violence or the women and stuff because I was 10, 11 years old. You know what I mean? But the deeper songs that weren't on the radio, and he talked about depression, and he talked about his anger, and he talked about his fears, and that's what I related to. So Pac's always won for me. And then there's DMX because he's from Yonkers. You know what I mean? He spoke for us. You know what I mean? He spoke for New York, not just Yonkers, but he spoke for New York. At the time he came out, it was very flashy hip-hop. You know what I mean? The P. Diddy and the Mace and the shiny suits. And then he came out, and I'll never forget that Get At Me. I heard of him beforehand through mixtapes.
Dark Man X.
Yeah, mixtapes through Getty Square. But he came out and it was like, dum, 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 dum. And he was like, let's take it back to the hood, motherfucker. And I was like, that was it. And he brought it back. Yeah. Scarface from Houston. I just love he's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I definitely love Scarface. I love Jay-Z. I love Nas. I love Mobb Deep. I think Prodigy, rest in peace to Bandana P. He gets slept on way too much. If y'all don't understand, get his first singles album, H&IC. It was amazing. Guys like that, Outkast was great too, you know what I mean, with the Southern drawl, you know what I mean? Guys like that. Yeah, it's just, I can go on forever about hip-hop. I'll start thinking more and more,
I gotta know, did you ever have a time where you rapped? As a kid, no, didn't even try?
No, I wrote stuff. I wrote poetry when I was young. My mother used to love it because she would just see me writing, you know what I mean?
But that's promos now.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, you know what? I never thought of it like that. Boom, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Because I tell people it's not promos I do, it's therapy sessions. Because I bring whatever my characters, me at 17, turned up 1,000 notches. Yeah. So it's a therapy session, and it was a therapy session for me to write. I had 30 notebooks all written, just stuff. You know what I mean? So I didn't rap though. I just wrote whatever I felt on the page.
Word. Okay, man. Well, so here at Defy, we don't really call it the fans. We call it the Defyants. We're
the Defyants.
Yes.
I love it.
So we're a community. We're all on the same level. It's a kind of a cheesy way to ask it, but I ask it every time.
That's not cheesy.
What does the Defiance mean to you?
The Defiance means to me just like you said, a community of people that are showing love for a great sport. I still call it a sport. I don't care. For a great sport that I'm fortunate enough to now make a full-time living off of. And without those Defyant people, I wouldn't be able to. So that's why I come here and I try to go balls to the wall and I try to give them everything I got, because without them, there's no me, to be honest with you. So why not give them everything I got? You know, why disrespect them and not give them everything I got, you know?
And we'll keep chanting for you, man, to bring you back, dude, because we can't get enough Eddie Kingston here at Washington Hall, so.
Well, I love it here, man. I really do. I can't. I'm trying to be as genuine as I can, and I'm getting worried that I'm not coming off genuine. But no,
that is one thing Eddie Kingston is 100% genuine. Like, that is what is apparent through, your writing that we read about your mental health, through your matches, they speak to your character, and through your promos, man, and through, interviews and everything. It's 100% authentic, man. So you don't got to worry about that.
No, man, thank you. I just, I don't know. I never thought I would be relatable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because just like most of us think we're the only ones who think a certain way, and we're the only ones that are going through it, but we're not. Everyone's going through something. Yep. It may not be similar, but the feelings are. You know what I mean? Yep. So I'm happy I can, for me personally, selfishly, I'm very happy that I can find others like me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it can actually make me go, oh, I was never alone. Yep. You know what I mean? So if that helps one person, then I'm good. They can take all the checks. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, cool. We'll do it. We'll take the checks.
You take the checks. Just give me Jun Akiyama. That's it.
Nice. So my last question for you, man, it's kind of a weird one, but if you can show us, but if not, you can tell us, pick a scar on your body. Show us if you can. Tell us the story of how you got the scar.
This scar on my wrists. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of faded. But this was from a Tournament of Death match in CZW, and I had these light tubes, and like fans bring the weapons, and if I would have swung these light tubes like a baseball bat, it would have wrapped around and hit my opponent in the face bad. So I held it like this, and when I hit it, it sliced me open.
Jesus.
And I'm punching the guy I'm wrestling, and I'm pointing at it, going, "Is this what you fucking wanted?" I was so mad because I didn't want to do it. I was talked into doing it as a favor. So I kept just going, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" Damn. You know what I mean? And they just wrapped it up and put like whatever that glue is, new skin or whatever it is. What is that? What it is? What is that?
Not the like the gorilla stuff.
No. It's like something that burns. By the way, like, like new skin or something. Yeah, I got stitches on my back though from that match. Yeah,
Deathmatch Eddie.
I don't like it. Sometimes you got to do it though, because
gearing up to do a barbed wire match versus Jericho this week.
Yeah, because here's the thing, he's a bitch. So like, sometimes you got to bring him to that level. I'm just speaking it like it is. He talks all this shit like he's done something. That's fine, bro. I wasn't there, so you haven't done shit. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's
the street in me coming out. You know what I mean? No respect at all.
Eddie Kingston, the Defyant Ones, dude. Thank you so much, man.
Nah, man. Thank you. I had a blast, man. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all.
Every week on the Defiance Patreon, we have in-depth interviews with all your favorite Defy wrestlers. It's the Defiant Ones. To check out all the past episodes of the Defiant Ones and the newly released episodes every Wednesday, go to patreon.com/Defiance. You're not going to want to miss an episode of the Defiant Ones. On Saturday, October 8th, Defy returns to Portland, Oregon for Defy City of Thorns. Saturday, October 8th at Cleaver Armory. Tickets for the event are available now. Again, Defy City of Thorns. Saturday, October 8th at the Cleaver Armory in Portland, Oregon. Defy returns home to Washington Hall Saturday, October 29th for Defy Kingdom Come, featuring wrestling icon Minoru Suzuki and many more. Tickets for Defy Kingdom Come are available now at defywrestling.com. Again, Defy Kingdom Come, Saturday, October 29th at Washington Hall.
I love it. Dude, this is so Ricky Rackman. Where are we, bro?
Right now we're talking with a guy who has actually done some incredible artwork that you've probably worn. If you've seen the Lucha Libre mask t-shirt that Defy made and what became so popular at all the Defy shows, this is the guy who made it. What's your name, dude?
This is Jesse Hernandez, aka the Urban Aztec, brother. But yeah, it was super dope working with you guys on that piece, man. And it's one of my favorite designs. I plan to do other things without you with it, and just kidding, but yeah.
Dude, your artwork is incredible. You work with artists like 311, Primus. We got a Mastodon poster back here, dude.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about, so you have a lot of Lucha Libre influence. Was that an influence with your art growing up?
Yeah, I mean, wrestling has always been, something that I grew up on, and Lucha Libre especially, bro. Like, I've always been hyped about, it's the original superheroes.
If you were a superhero, who would you be?
I'm partial. I don't know if he counts as a superhero. He might nowadays, but I'm a big Venom fan.
Big Venom fan? Okay.
I don't know if it'd be as good as Tom Hardy. He's got the abs on me,
Sure.
And the charisma and the looks, but
You gonna pull out the big boot and the leg drop on Swerve tonight?
Oh, listen, no, Swerve. He's a class of his own. I'm not even on his level.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Hulk, sir.
My name is Jay Gonzo. I'm a comic artist. I write and draw a comic called La Mano del Destino.
Yeah.
It's a story of a once champion luchador who's unmasked in the ring and betrayed by his friends, so he makes a deal with a mysterious promoter to get a new identity because you can't be the same wrestler again once you've been unmasked. So he makes a deal with this mysterious promoter for a new power and a new name, La Mano del Destino, to get his revenge. But like all good comic book bargains, there's strings attached, right? So he's trying to get out of the bargain. He's trying to still get his revenge, but more importantly, remain the person he knows himself to be.
Okay.
And it all happens in this swanky jet age 1960s Mexico, where lucha libre is the most important thing in that world.
Yes.
So I drew the comic to look and feel and smell like an old 60s comic book.
That's
because
dope.
it happens in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like the kind of the heyday of El Santo and Mil Máscaras,
Yes.
when those guys were making movies and stuff. Yeah.
Man, it's really awesome to be here at Emerald City Comic Con because it's like an institution in this community of nerdiness, of fan culture, and Defy is a huge part of fan culture. Obviously, we're so immersed in just being all about the fans, the Defyant. So it's only fitting. And of course, Headlocked being the best wrestling comic and graphic novel with Michael Kingston over there, it's like a perfect tag team. And it's really cool because there was a while there where we couldn't come together and do all of this kind of stuff, and now with some precautions, everyone's getting together and having some fun. I've seen a ton of really cool cosplay. We saw a Macho Man, we saw a Hulk Hogan. I'm hoping to see some maybe a Swerve cosplay. We never know. Maybe a Darby Allin cosplay. Maybe a Brody King cosplay. But it's real cool, and it's awesome to be a part of Defy and be here with everyone.